What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. How is everybody doing this evening? Another time, another evening, another after. This is funny. Every time we do the late night view, it's kind of become like a running joke at this point, hasn't it? That like the late night view, it's late somewhere. Because usually previously we did these at 7, and then with the international break we're doing them at 6. Just trying to find out what's the best time for everyone, I think, you know what I mean? But a lot of people will say, well, you know, Owen, where I am, it's not late. It certainly isn't a late night view. It's an evening view, whatever it may be. It's late night somewhere, right? Somewhere in the world, it's late night somewhere. But you can let me know if it's evening or if it's afternoon, if it's morning where you are. You can let me know in the free seats, in the live chat. Let me know where you're watching from. While you're down there, you might as well smash a like on the video too and subscribe. Look at me. I'm a promotional machine today. I nearly said this afternoon then because it's like 6. You know what I mean? So let me know, as always, where you're watching from. We can get your comments up on the screen. Like Skirley says, let's go. What's up, Owen? What's up, Skirley? How are you doing? This is what it is here at United View. We can chat. We can have fun, relax. It's the evening. It's Wednesday. What do they call it? Hump day. One of those days where you wake up on a Wednesday. It's very, especially when it's an international break as well. Because when it's like, midweek and it's a Champions League week and there's European football going on. There's so much going on and it's exciting. We're nearly there, guys. We've got through another international break. We're nearly there. Club football is back on the horizon. Only a few more days to go. I don't know about you. God, I miss it. I miss it so much. I know it's probably not like patriotic to say like I don't like international breaks, but I really don't like international breaks. I just find them so dull. Honestly, so dull. Randy Jackman says 1 p.m. in Barbados. I envy you, Randy. I bet it's amazing in Barbados. I honestly, I envy you. Michael says 8 p.m. in East Africa. Exactly. So it's a late night view for Michael. This is the point. We're a global community here at United View, right? We're a global community. We've got people watching from all over the world. So exactly. Aston Williams says, yo, Owen, it's evening here in South Africa. Exactly. It's a late night view. It's a late night view, exactly. Steffi Jenks says, glad the international break is over. You and me both, absolutely. But let's get into it. There's a few things I do want to talk about this evening. We're going to keep it relatively short, probably about half an hour or so. I don't want to take up too much of your time tonight, guys. A couple of things I do want to talk about. First of all, I want to talk about Harry Maguire. Then I want to talk about Paul Pogba and Real Madrid. Is he staying? Is he going? I know. I can already hear the groans. I can already feel it because I'm with you. As soon as I saw so-and-so's interested in Paul Pogba, I just sort of went, oh. So that Roy Keane meme, isn't it? When he goes, really? Really? Because think about it. Over the course of the last 7 days, we've heard Paul Pogba wants to stay. We've heard Paul Pogba wants to go to Juventus. Now we're here, Real Madrid are interested in Paul Pogba. It never ends. The Paul Pogba saga, it never ends, guys. And then I do want to finish up talking about the Jamie Carragher comments. I don't know if you've seen them, talking about criticisms of Ollie and how United pundits maybe aren't as critical of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because they're his friends, all that kind of stuff. So, Gallo says, thank God the United game is not on TV. I'm kind of scared for the match on Saturday. But we'll get into that. Because it actually leads quite nicely into this first thing we're going to talk about here. So we're going to talk about Harry Maguire. Now, of course, Harry Maguire limped off against Aston Villa. It feels so long ago, doesn't it? Was it Aston Villa or was it Everton? I can't even remember at this point. Harry Maguire's injured. He's got a calf problem. It was against Villa, wasn't it? Yeah. It was against Aston. Was it against Villa? I don't know. I really don't know. This is what happens with the international break. It's like 7 days, but it feels like a lifetime. It feels like a lifetime since I last watched a Man United game. So much so that even though the way Man United were playing at the moment, I'm excited to have football back. Even though the last game against Everton, I was like, oh gosh, you know what I mean? Anyway, Harry Maguire, he's spoken about the injury. Now, obviously, we know Rafi Varane isn't going to be playing at the weekend. He's not going to be playing against Leicester. He's out for a couple of weeks, Manchester United said. They released a statement yesterday. Very vague, wasn't it? Really vague sort of statement going, he's recovering. He'll be out for a couple of weeks. Basically saying we don't really know at this point. We don't really know, all that kind of stuff. So... anyway, so some people were saying, well, maybe Harry Maguire will be back. What's the situation when it comes to Harry Maguire? Well, Harry Maguire, through Manchester United, has released a statement or spoken about his injury status. He has said, quote, regarding his injury, yeah, it's getting there. I still haven't trained yet with the squad, but I am getting better. I am progressing as I should be. It is obviously a frustrating injury for me to get, but I am progressing and I will be back on the pitch soon. So for me, there's lots of different ways to look into that one. If Harry Maguire is saying, I still haven't trained yet with the squad, he ain't playing at the weekend. I would be stunned if Harry Maguire played at the weekend against Leicester. The reason I say that is because we know what Ollie's like. We know what the club's like when it comes to players that haven't trained. Now, you might say, well, Owen, how come you're saying that Marcus Rashford might play at the weekend against Leicester? I think there's a really good chance Rashford could start against Leicester. I really do. I know some people are saying no chance. He's been out for a long period of time, surgery, etc. But look, he played against Blackburn in that behind closed doors game last week, and he scored 2 goals, and he's had what? Since then, I mean, he trained on the Friday before we went on international break. So he will have trained for 10 days, something like that. So about 10 days of contract training, he would have played in a game. I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest if Marcus Rashford started at the weekend. But we're talking about Harry Maguire here. Harry Maguire, if he's not training with the first team right now, if he's not training with the squad, then there's no way he's going to make a game in, 3 days' time or whatever it may be. It's just not going to happen. Saturday at 3 p.m. Not going to happen. So that means, of course, that we are going to get Victor Lindelof and Eric Bailly at centre-back on Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. at against Leicester away. And that's worrying. that is worrying, because that was the same centre-back pairing that played in the latter half, the end of last season, when Harry Maguire was out, and you had the game, for instance, against Liverpool. I recall vividly watching that game against Liverpool at Old Trafford last season, when it was Lindelof and Bailly. And don't get me wrong, I think when people say they're worried about the game at the weekend, when it comes to that defensive partnership, people see that as a massive slight against both of them, against Lindelof and Bailly, and it's not. They're good defenders. They are good defenders, but we've seen them play together before. Granted, not all the time, but they're both erratic players. Eric Bailly is the most erratic centre-back we have at the club, and we still got Phil Jones at the club, But that's the case, so I am worried about that, and any hope that we were going to see a situation whereby Harry Maguire was going to do sort of a remarkable turnaround and possibly play against his former side at the weekend, not happening. It's just not happening, and that is concerning. That is concerning, especially. I think about Harry Maguire. I think about Eric Bailly and Victor Lindelof, and I look at the games and I go, they can get through Leicester away. Because I think they can. I think they can get through Leicester away. And I still think, irrespective of that centre-back partnership, I still think we can get a result away from home. My concern is the fixtures after that. My concern is playing Atalanta, Old Trafford on the Wednesday. Because people look past Atalanta, and I'm not already making excuses to not get through the group, because we should. We should absolutely get through the Champions League group. But I think a lot of people don't realise or often overlook how good of a football inside Atalanta are. Atalanta play some good stuff, really good stuff, and it's elite, European football. I worry about those two centre-backs playing that game. I worry on the Sunday following that we've got Liverpool once again at Old Trafford in the same way that we had it at the end of last season. We could be looking at an exact same scenario that we had at the end of last season, whereby we're playing Liverpool at home, and guess what? We've got Eric Bailly and Victor Lindelof at centre-back. That's concerning. That's terrifying. And then obviously the games after that, you've got your Tottenham, you've got Atalanta again, Man City. I think Maguire and Varane will be back by that point, but it's those sort of 3 games. I think we can, with Victor Lindelof and Eric Bailly, even though I am concerned, erratic, very erratic. Hardly it's a safe pair of hands, is it, at all, when you've got Lindelof and Bailly at centre-back. I feel like they can get through a Leicester, but I worry about the Champions League game because we can't afford to slip up. Even though we beat Villarreal, we still can't afford to slip up. I worry massively, obviously, about Liverpool the following weekend at Old Trafford, because for Maguire and for Varane, that's the race against time, because it's feasible they could be back then, but it's just as feasible that they still won't be ready. And I'm interested to know what you guys think. What do you think? Because we know we're getting Bailly and Lindelof. We're getting them at the weekend. I would be stunned. Varane's definitely not being in, but Maguire, if he's not training with the first team squad or with anyone at the moment, he ain't playing. So I want to gauge your feelings on this one. Are you worried? Are you nervous? What do you think the result's going to be? What do you think the outcome's going to be? Do you think we'll keep a clean sheet? That's the irony in all of this, isn't it? Is imagine we keep a clean sheet at the weekend, because that's what we haven't been doing. We haven't been keeping clean sheets at all. What is it out of our last? I can't even remember however many last games. It's double figures, isn't it? We've kept one clean sheet in our last, was it 12, 13 games, maybe even longer than that. So imagine Eric Bailly and Victor Lindelof come in and they keep a clean sheet. That would be unbelievable, because then they would be looking at Harry Maguire, Rafa Varane. See, that's how you do it, fellas. But make no mistake, once Maguire and Varane are both fit, they're coming straight back into the side. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Cool says, more worried about who plays in front of them. We know that Fred probably isn't going to play, right? Because he's with Brazil, he's going to be coming back late, so he's not playing. I still think it's going to be Matic and Pogba. I really do, because given the fact that we've got the left-sided players now, like Rashford, like Martial, Lingard, even a Sancho or whatever, there's no reason to play Paul Pogba on the left-hand side anymore. And what's he going to do? Bench Paul Pogba? Maybe. Maybe. But I don't see that happening. So I think it's going to be Pogba and McTominay, or Pogba and Matic. Maybe more likely Pogba McTominay, actually, because you've got to get that passion and desire in, guys. Passion and desire, obviously. Wilson says Bailly's a good defender. I think that's the thing with Eric Bailly. I think a lot of people have said this before. Like, if Eric Bailly could stay fit for the entire season, really useful option to have. It's not as if he's a bad defender. I think a lot of the times he gets injured because he's so erratic. You have no idea, as a fan, no idea what Eric Bailly is going to do. Not a clue. For a manager, it must be a nightmare. For a centre-back partnership, if you're playing alongside Eric Bailly, it must be crazy to think, I genuinely have no idea what this guy's going to do. He might fly into a tackle. He might try and... It's that video on Twitter. Have you seen it? Where it says, art imitates life. Because there's a video of Eric Bailly going up for a header. I think it's on FIFA. And it's the back of his head. He's flopping around like a fish out of water. And then they said that actually happened. That actually happened in real life. I think it was against Crystal Palace, where he sort of flies over the attacker's shoulders. Eric Bailly, he's erratic. That's the problem. It's not as if he's not a good defender. If Eric Bailly could stay fit for the entirety of the season, I'd be very content, because I'd be like, wow, we would have obviously reduced this just sheer erraticness that he has, but also he is a good defender. But you never know what you're going to get for him. Never know. Giorgio says Eric has too much passion and desire for Ollie. This is true. This is true. He has too much passion and desire. He's on the KG level of recklessness. There's sort of passion, desire, recklessness, and he's too far over there. But Carlo says FIFA is finally realistic. Exactly. Art imitates life. That's real. So I, like everyone else, I'm almost like morbidly curious to see how it pans out at the weekend when it comes to Bailly and Lindelof. Again, I do think legitimately, I'm not as worried about them two starting against Leicester as I say I am possibly the weekend after against Liverpool and in the week against Atalanta, because they're a really well-coached side, Atalanta. Again, I think that we can't overlook them. Really can't overlook them. And to be honest with you, we've been talking for a while, haven't we, about we've got the two centre-backs now. We've got Maguire and we've got Varane. We don't need to have McFred in front of them because the centre-backs don't need protecting anymore. Ollie's going to look at this. He's going to look at Eric Bailly and Victor Lindelof going, protecting? I wish I could have a million McFreds in front of them at this point, because they need protecting. They're so erratic. They're so crazy. They're so vulnerable. So, again, I really wouldn't be surprised if Ollie does throw a curveball for that team selection on Saturday, in the sense that, again, I do think it's probably going to be Pogba, probably McTominay, I think. But it could be Pogba and Matic. We've seen that before. But I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for something really crazy and goes for like McTominay and Matic, which might sound crazy. People go, well, you're going to drop Pogba, especially after the week he's had. We never know anymore. We never know. Nobody thought he was going to bench Cristiano Ronaldo against Everton. It happened. So who knows? The only thing for certain is that Donny van der Beek ain't playing. That's the only thing for certain. I saw a tweet that went out on the United View Twitter account the other day that was saying, like, how many how many starts do you think Donny van de Beek is going to get between now and the January transfer window? Because obviously we're hearing a lot of these rumours and reports about Donny, his agent, looking for moves away, whether it's permanently or on loan or whatever it may be. Legitimately, and I'll put it to you guys here, how many starts do you think Donny van de Beek gets between now and the January transfer window? I don't even know if it hits like double figures. Honestly, I really don't. I could see a situation, and we're talking starts here, starts. Given the situation of the Champions League as well, we could be looking at like 1 or 2. Seriously. Given the fact that obviously the FA Cup starts in January, so between now and the end of the year, how many starts is Donny van de Beek getting? I really don't see it. Really don't see it. So it's an interesting one, certainly when it comes to the Maguire situation. Look, hopefully, and look at this. I think from an Ollie point of view, he must be cursing his luck. People call Ollie a lucky manager, don't they? And that's some parts of that is absolutely justified. But he'll be cursing his luck at this point, thinking, look, there is a bit of pressure on me at the moment. I've got my biggest run of games coming this season. And what happens? My 2 starting centre-backs are gone. They're out injured for a couple of weeks. They'll be back for some of those big games. But when we really need to sort of steady the ship and calm everyone down, my 2 centre-backs are gone. And if you thought that we were pragmatic before, sometimes with Ollie, or we played on the counter-attack before, get ready, honestly, because it's going to be interesting, certainly with Leicester on Saturday. It's going to be interesting because I don't suspect... does a Brendan Rodgers side really sort of sit back? And I don't want to get too much because we've got a preview coming later this week, but does a Brendan Rodgers side really sit back and park the bus? Not really. They don't. They try and play football. They do try and press you. But Brendan Rodgers is a very good coach. So I think on the flip side, he won't want to play into Manchester United's hands too much. We've seen what happens when a side tries to press us and actually is a bit more open. We beat Leeds 5-1 at Old Trafford. Every other team has been a bit more pragmatic and sort of sussed Man United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out. So it's a very interesting game. Very interesting game at the weekend. I do want to talk about Paul Pogba. I know. Paul Pogba, I know. So just to catch you up, this is like one of those shows when they go previously in the Paul Pogba saga, chapter 38. Here we go again. Previously in the Paul Pogba saga, we started off the international break with Paul Pogba coming out in the French media, telling all of his French teammates, I really want to stay at Manchester United. There was a bit of interest, but I really want to stay at Manchester United. I'm not hiding it anymore. Like he was confessing his love for Manchester United to his teammates. I'm not going to hide it anymore in private, guys. I want to stay at Manchester United. I'm going to climb to the rooftops and scream out, I want to stay at Manchester United. That's what he's going to do. So we thought, great, Paul Pogba, finally. It's been, there's been so much back and forth. There's been so much reporting. There's been so much just hearsay and speculation. Finally, Paul Pogba, he wants to stay at Manchester United. We're getting closer to an agreement. It's going to happen. Not so fast. Pump the brakes, guys. Pump the brakes. Because then what happens? Paul Pogba plays in that semi-final match for France afterwards. So what's going on with you, Paul? Well, look, I'm in Italy. I love it in Italy. I still speak to Paulo Dybala all the time and my former Juventus teammates. Maybe I will go back to Juventus one day. Who knows? I'm with United to the end of the season, but who knows? And everyone went, oh, God. He's doing it again. International break. Of course. Because what would be an international break without Paul Pogba, fueling speculation about his Manchester United future? So that was that. And everyone sort of went, here we go again. And now, Real Madrid have come in because, again, it wouldn't be an international break without speculating on Paul Pogba's future with Manchester United. I'll be so glad when this is over, by the way. Whether or not, look, obviously, I want Paul Pogba to stay at Manchester United and I want him to sign a contract extension. I don't think it's happening anytime soon. I think we've got to put up with this speculation again and again and again. It's never ending story. It's Paul Pogba and EastEnders that just go on and on. Paul Pogba transfer saga or contract saga feels like it's been going on longer than Coronation Street or whatever. I mean, it's never ending. So when it comes to Paul Pogba and his future, Paul Pogba, this is coming from some Spanish outlets, say Paul Pogba is on Real Madrid's radar again. His good performances in the Nations League have strongly reactivated Real's interest in him. Now, also, a caveat to this says that Real have made it clear in conversations with those close to the player that he has to want to play for Real for them to make the move. They're not going to enter into a bid with teams that have no problem offering quantities outside of the market, which is an interesting it's an interesting point there, isn't it? It's a really interesting point. Basically, the story is saying, look, Real Madrid, like a lot of people over the course of the last week or so, have seen, and this is always the case, have seen how Paul Pogba plays for France and goes, tell you what, that player is world class. Like, where is that Paul Pogba? That's what people see. So they see that and they go, oh, I want Paul Pogba at my club. And Real Madrid have looked at it and said, you know what? It looks like we're going to get Mbappe on a free at the end of the season. Maybe we do a bit of a PSG madness that they did in this past summer's transfer window, and maybe we just get some quality players on free transfers. Yes, it'll cost big wages, but maybe it's doable, right? That's doable. So they've looked at it and they've said, yeah, we can get Mbappe and maybe we can get Pogba, because that player that was playing for France, that's a quality player right there. But they've also basically said, if he doesn't have an interest, or if he's kind of trying to play both sides, if he's not willing to force that move through, then we won't make an offer for him. We've got our hands pretty full and pretty busy with Kylian Mbappe, trying to persuade him to join us as well, because we've heard those rumours about Mbappe and his, I think it's his mum who represents him or something like that, still talking to PSG about a new contract as well. So the Real Madrid one goes back a while, doesn't it? The Real Madrid one goes back to when Zidane was the manager there. And given the fact that Zidane's not the manager of Real Madrid anymore, I'm a bit less concerned about Real Madrid, because the concern always was that Pogba, we heard that report time and time again, didn't we? Pogba really wants to play for Zidane. He admires Zidane, obviously, the French connection. He admires Zidane so much. And I recall, when was it? It might have been when Oli first was... got the interim position, or just before he was made permanent manager, when Pogba obviously had the big falling out with Mourinho. Oli came in, Pogba played really well for like 2 or 3 months. He played unbelievably well. He was scoring goals, assists, he was incredible. And then there was an international break. I want to say it was around like February of that year, whatever the first international break is after Christmas, so like February, March, around that period of time. And he went away on international duty, and then suddenly Zidane came out and said that he thought Pogba was a great player, and then that's when Pogba came out and said to hear these compliments from Zidane and all this kind of stuff, playing for Real Madrid is a dream, and that's where everyone sort of went, here we go, international duty, Paul Pogba, speculation once again. And I look back to that, and that was always my concern. If Zidane was there, he would be able to be having these informal conversations. Not that legally he's allowed to, but who's going to stop him? Having these informal conversations of, just wind your contract down, and then you can come over and you can sign with us. Given the fact that Zidane isn't there anymore, it's Carlo Ancelotti, I'm less concerned about that. And the situation when it comes to finances in Spain, look, Real Madrid are in a better position financially, obviously, than Barcelona. I think I am, just myself, and I'm hardly the richest guy in the world. I'm in a better position. I think you probably watching this, all right, if you've got like £1 in your pocket, you're probably in a better position financially than Barcelona. But again, Real Madrid are going to be spending a significant amount of money next summer as well if they get that Mbappe deal over the line. If not, they're going to be going in for Haaland, so they're going to be spending big money. So the Pogba deal, I can understand their point of view of, look, we're going to be really busy. We're not willing to get into this protracted like back and forth of, do you want to stay at United? Do you want to stay at Real Madrid? Do you want to go to Real Madrid? Blah, blah, blah. Look, if you want to come, force that move through, or just don't sign a new United contract. Otherwise, we're not really interested. But I don't blame Real Madrid for being interested in Paul Pogba, seeing him play these 2 games for France. Because again, every Manchester United fan, we go through this all the time, don't we? We go through this all the time when we see Paul Pogba play for France, and we go, where is that player? Because you do see him occasionally for Manchester United, but not that Paul Pogba. And those videos have been going around social media again of Paul Pogba being this leader, this inspirational figure in the dressing room as well, before the final against Spain, doing like almost a pre-match team talk and really motivating the players. And I don't necessarily, if I blame Pogba, saying, we don't see that for United, because we don't really see those videos inside the dressing room. But certainly the performance level of Paul Pogba that we see for France, we don't see for United. Obviously, the counter-argument to that is, well, he doesn't have those players around him that he does when it comes to France, whether it's Conte or Tchouaméni, who I think played very well for France as well. People are going to say, well, if you're in a midfield that's either backed up with McTominay or Fred, you are going to look like a lesser player. And Paul Pogba can't do it on his own. We've seen that at this point. We've seen that at this point. So the Pogba dilemma, the Pogba, I don't know, saga, fiasco. What do you guys want to call it? The Pogba fiasco, dilemma, story, soap opera will continue. And as I've mentioned several times before, I don't see it. I don't see it ending anytime soon. I would be flabbergasted if Paul Pogba signed a new Manchester United contract by the end of this calendar year. I just don't see it happening. I think Paul Pogba, like everyone, is going to, just wait and see what happens, because we don't know. We're Manchester United fans. And we don't know how Manchester United are going to play out this season. Is there a lot of confidence in us having success this year, winning something, challenging for something? I would say most people are probably like 50-50 on it. Obviously, you've got people that are like Ollie out, and they'll be saying, absolutely no chance, we're not going to challenge. You've got some people that are saying, well, wait and see. These big games coming up are really going to be an indicator of where we're going or not going, as it were. But I think that's the same with Paul Pogba. I think Paul Pogba, Mino Raiola are saying, look, why would you put pen to paper right now unless you love the club and commitment? And I think he does love the club, but he obviously wants to win trophies. His career is advancing, and this is maybe his last big contract. If he's going to sign for 5 years, by the time that contract comes up, he's going to be in his 30s, right? He's looking at this going, look, I want to win Premier League titles. I want to win Champions Leagues, or I want to win league titles, whatever it may be. And come the end of the season, I might look at Manchester United and say, you know what, we're not that far off. We maybe just need a couple of players. Maybe a new manager's in at that point, or maybe the current manager, Ollie, turns it around and everything starts to gel together like the board hopes and all this kind of stuff. Or maybe come the end of the season, he goes, you know what, we are miles off it. We ain't winning the Champions League in the next 5-10 years. We're not winning a league title in the next 5-10 years. I'm out of here. And I think Paul Pogba, and to be honest, I don't think anything's changed on this front either. I've been saying this since the summer, and I think Paul Pogba's probably felt the same since the summer. I'm going to wait and see. Now, obviously, I think he's been closer, leaning two ways. I think when Manchester United signed Rafael Varane and Jadon Sancho and Cristiano Ronaldo, I think he was leaning much closer to going, tell you what, I feel like I'm going to stay here. And we heard those reports at the time. I'm going to stay here because look at the players they're bringing in right now. Look, this is really Manchester United really making a statement, really going for it. We haven't seen this over the course of the last few years. But then, given the way we're playing and given some of the questionable results and all this kind of stuff, you might be going, are we really going to win a title? Are we really going to win a Champions League? Are we going to win anything here? And if the answer is no, he might be like, maybe I do try go somewhere else. Maybe I go somewhere else, but I think that's more likely to happen. I do think a couple of times he's been offered out and nobody's really bitten on that bait. But come the summer, free transfer, PSG will probably make a courtesy bid, even though they've got to get players off their books. Real Madrid, we already know they're looking at the Nations League going, maybe if he's available. Newcastle, who knows? Who knows? who knows what could happen, right? Newcastle, they might at the end of the summer next year just go, tell you what, Paul Pogba, 500k, there you go, easy. And that's nothing to them. So I think Paul Pogba's waiting to see. I really do. Ali says Pogba pantomime. I like that. I do like that. Paul Pogba pantomime. 3M says he was our highest scorer and assist a couple of years ago, then was injured for a whole season and now has been decent to very good for the last 18 months. I think Paul Pogba, no one's doubting Paul Pogba's ability. He's a world-class player. And I know people don't say, he's not world-class, because people do the thing of, if you have to say it on his day, then he's not world-class and all this kind of stuff. Paul Pogba's an excellent player. I think, personally, it would depend who you'd replace him with, of course, but we're a weaker side without Paul Pogba in it. We're a weaker, we've got less quality players if we let Paul Pogba go. It's just a fact. And Paul Pogba, legitimately, I think would get into pretty much any team in the Premier League, any top 6 side, certainly. Man City would want him, and I know people go, Pep wouldn't have him, or Jurgen Klopp wouldn't have him. They would find a way. Trust me, they would find a way, because good managers come up with solutions. And PSG, they'd have him in their side. Barcelona, Real Madrid, of course they would have him in their side. Juventus would have him in their side. But there are some people that don't rate Pogba or don't think he's world class. And again, the Pogba dilemma, the Pogba pantomime. I think we'll carry on and on. We're only 5 likes away from 100 likes, so be sure to smash a like on the video. We've got over 300 people watching, so see if we can get to 100 likes on this Hump Day Wednesday evening for the late night view. Before we wrap it up, I do want to talk about some Jamie Carragher comments here. Now, Jamie Carragher was on the Tony Bellew podcast. Tony Bellew is Angry, which I think is a great name. And he spoke about, obviously, he works at Sky with Gary Neville and Roy Keane. And he was asked about their opinions on Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And it was interesting what he said, and it's something that I think we should touch on briefly. He said the two of them, Gary Neville and Roy Keane, just make excuses for Ole because they played with him and he's their mate. They were saying they can't win the league, they still lack this, they still lack that, the Glazers aren't putting enough money in, they should be going for Harry Kane. I'm sitting here thinking, you've just signed a player that's won the Champions League 4 times, you've spent 75 million on a winger, you finished second last season, you didn't lose a game away from home all last season, there's only one step to go. So basically, Jamie Carragher is kind of saying what quite a few United fans have said as well, that realistically, why can't we be challenging for the league? Or shouldn't we be expecting to challenge for the league? And he's saying that Gary Neville and Roy Keane are basically being light on Ole because they're his ex-teammates. How do I feel about that one? I was thinking about that. I mean, how do you feel? Do you think people like Roy Keane and Gary Neville take it lightly, or are being nice, or being almost unfairly nice to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because they used to play with him or they used to be a teammate of his when they were at United? Do you agree with what Jamie Carragher was saying in that, given that we did finish second last season by a long margin, it must be said, but we do have this great away record, and the players that we have, shouldn't we be expecting to challenge? The only thing I will say to that is, I think most United fans going into the season, most United fans, when they're asked, can we win the league? Most people, or rather, will we win the league? I think most people said, will we win the league? No, I don't think we will. And that's why I said, I don't think we will win the league. But I do agree with him in the sense that, and this is what I've said, and I think Flex has said a few times as well, and I think a lot of people are saying, there's no excuse not to challenge. There's no reason not to challenge. Given the players we have Cristiano Ronaldo in our side. We did sign Jadon Sancho. We did sign Rafael Varane. And the players we already have, we've got Cavani, we've got Marcus Rashford, we've got David De Gea in goal, we've got top quality players, we've got Bruno Fernandes. Given the players we have, our club, we have no excuse not to challenge for the league. Are we going to win it? No, I don't think we are. But we have no excuse not to actually go deep into a competition like the Champions League. Do I think we'll go deep into the Champions League? Who knows? I don't know anymore when it comes to stuff like that. But I do think he's right in the sense that, doesn't that speak to a larger issue? If the fact we've got all of these players and we've got all of these, resources available to us, and we still say, no, we won't win the league. It does speak to something bigger, doesn't it? It certainly does speak to something bigger. And I know that a lot of people will say, we won't win the league because we don't have a defence midfielder or we don't have the right midfield. To me, that's not a good enough excuse. I think that is a valid reason, but I don't think it's a good enough excuse not to challenge, put it that way. That might be the reason that we don't pick up the trophy at the end of the season when it comes to the Premier League, but it's not an excuse to be not to be 6 points off, because we have great players. Now, maybe that defence midfielder will get us over the line, but to be honest, who has the perfect team? Who has the perfect team? Nobody does. That's why people make transfers at the end of the season, because they want to improve their side or improve their squad. Nobody has the perfect side. Nobody has the perfect squad. And if Manchester United are looking for the exact perfect starting 11, that's just never going to happen. Work with what you've got, and what you've got is really good. We've got a phenomenal squad. We really do. Could we improve it? Absolutely we could. And we are looking to improve defensive midfield options, but it's no excuse not to challenge. And again, that's when going back to the whole Ole Gunnar Solskjaer stuff, that's what I've always said, in that this season Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be judged, because come the end of the season, if we did go out of the Champions League, and I don't want to be negative, but if we did go out of the Champions League in the group stage and we finish, say, 4th in the Premier League, which is very realistic, by the way, given the fact that you've got Leicester on the brain, you've got Chelsea, you've obviously got Liverpool, you've got Man City. You've got those players ahead of those teams ahead of us, who I think are playing better football right now than us. There's a very real possibility we could finish 4th. If we finish 4th and, like I say, get out of the Champions League group maybe, but go out in the next round, that isn't good enough. That really is not good enough. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be judged by that. Do I think he'd get sacked for that? Probably. You know what? Honestly, probably not. Probably not. And the only reason I say that is because the Glazers and the board will look at it as, well, continuity still in the Champions League, go again next season, and that isn't good enough. That isn't good enough. But I'll leave that one with you. If you're not watching live, you can let us know in the comment section below. Do you think Jamie Carragher is spot on with those comments about people like Roy Keane and Gary Neville and former Manchester United players being nice on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Do you think he's right in the sense that why shouldn't we compete given the players that we have and the money that we spent? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the video. We did get over 100 likes, by the way, so I appreciate everyone that's tuned in live. 119 likes, like my OCD is killing me, so maybe we get that to 120. It is what it is. But be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. What's planned for the rest of the week? I don't know. I don't know what's happening tomorrow. I think it might be another late night view tomorrow. Friday, of course, we'll have the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference and match preview. And then Saturday, game day. Club football's back. Come on. Yes. So Saturday, we'll have the usual match day experience for you here on United View. We'll have like the road trip with Flex. Obviously, we'll have the match view with KG. They'll have the match reaction with myself. I don't know what DJ and that are doing, but hopefully we'll be able to get those on. And then obviously we'll have all of the fan views as well. And then Sunday, we'll have a full view reacting to a game of football. How great would that be? How great would that be? So I really appreciate everyone tuning in tonight, guys, or evening, morning, wherever you are. It's a late night view, is what it is. But I'll speak for you again very soon. Peace.